Now, Jesus is invited to dinner by a prominent Pharisee in today's biblical account. And you know, I think it's important before I open the Bible to say so many incidents occur around meal times in the ministry of Jesus. Remember the first miracles at a wedding, and there are all kinds of times when Jesus is having a meal. Probably the most important event prior to the cross is that meal, the Last Supper. He accepted the invitation and was relaxing at the table. So we're in Luke chapter 7, and I want to read just a couple of passages at different times. Firstly, verses 37 to 38. There's a reclining at the table happening at this Pharisee's house, and we read, "A woman in that town who'd lived a sinful life learned that Jesus was eating at the Pharisee's house. So she came there with an alabaster jar of perfume. As she stood behind him, at his feet weeping, she began to wet his feet with her tears. Then she wiped them with her hair, kissed them, and poured perfume on them." Now, important to say, this is a woman of poor reputation. I'll leave you to fill in the gaps. You don't need me to explain whatever that might mean. The truth is that this is not a woman of high standing. This is a woman that everybody might have tutted at. But she is somebody who comes to this meal where Jesus has been. So often they were in courtyards. You could walk in from outside. It wasn't really a dining room necessarily inside a house. And she came in. She wept and wet his feet with her tears. You can just imagine the graphic of this before their very eyes, what he was doing, the impact it might have had with those around the table. But the passage goes on. It tells us in verse 39, "When the Pharisee who had invited him saw this, he said to himself, 'If this man were a prophet, he would know who's touching him and what kind of woman she is, that she is a sinner.'" So there's a very powerful judgment takes place. The man who's invited Jesus, the man who feels he's being generous and gregarious and being the kind of person that is expressing his generosity and his welcome to Jesus, is now, just turned inside out because this woman has come and interrupted the meal with this washing of him with her tears and wiping her hair. There's something about it that would feel to him almost obscene in the sense in which this is occurring. Perhaps she'd never experienced love until Jesus cared for her. I can't help but think there's a reason why this woman is behaving in this way. She clearly had received in some way from Jesus. She's wanting to express her love, her gratitude, her thankfulness, all those words that come together to mean something that says a response for what has been done for me, wanting to do something. As we shared earlier, we saw someone's life that had been, you could almost say rescued from a place where she felt that she needed support to a place where now she's able to reach out to other people who are in such situations and provide a compassionate kind of care. That was Veronica's story. It's an experience at Wesley Mission that we can relate to. So many people that end up volunteers with us end up volunteers because they have themselves found themselves rescued from miry pits of clay and find themselves now set up on a rock, establishing their way, showing something new and marvelous. It's followed, of course, this passage, by a marvelous parable on forgiveness. Compare the lack of welcome and her generous desire to express thankfulness from the woman that comes, and she's not really welcomed by the person who's invited Jesus, and she wants to express her thankfulness. Compare the two things. They're so opposite. Those in receipt of forgiveness are so ready to respond and to reach out to help others, and so ready to respond in love. Let me read to you the end of this section, 47 through to 48. "Therefore I tell you, her many sins had been forgiven, as her great love has shown. But whoever has been forgiven little, loves little." Then Jesus said to her, "Your sins are forgiven." There is no greater gift in our Christian story than the gift of forgiveness. Forgiveness for what we might have said and done and been. And when that occurs, oh gosh, we would in our own way want to do whatever it is that this woman is wanting to do for Jesus, express in a tangible way what it means to be forgiven, to be given wholeness. And we heard in Veronica's story what a difference it meant for a group of people at our Edward Eagle Lodge to show some concern for her, to visit, have a cup of tea, set goals, set conversations that were of mutual interest, and help her to know that she matters. We talk about the marvellous John Wesley Way at Wesley Mission. It's there in our entrance that tells us about the fact that our mission is for everyone, for all. And you know, the truth is it's for all because everybody matters. And that I see so supremely in this story, a story of forgiveness, a story of peace.